Freedom. Personal freedom is fundamental to who we are as Americans.
There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred.
That's been the work of my first term, to fight for our democracy.
This shouldn't be a red revolution.
To protect our rights, to make sure that everyone in this country is treated equally and that everyone is given a fair shot at making it.
So yesterday I had the privilege or the disprivilege of seeing Joe Biden's 2024 re-election campaign announcement. And honestly, I don't really have any high or low feelings about it because truthfully, it's just another typical incumbent running for re-election. Really nothing special about it. Joe Biden is not a transformative president. He even ran on that in 2020 that he wouldn't be. His entire campaign was that he's the guy who can beat Trump in 2020. And after Biden, we can kind of see what's next after him.
But I think I'm the only one that has broad support with brown, black, young, old, women, men, working class folks. So I don't buy into that.
And primarily, it's looking like that's a lot of what the Biden campaign is going to do in 2024. It's really all they're going to need to do, given the fact that the Republican Party is a complete disaster right now, as they can't, get rid of the grip that Donald Trump has over them. Donald Trump still is the reigning king of the party, despite the fact that he was twice impeached, the first president in history to ever be indicted, all the scheming and the scams and the tax dodging and the bankruptcies, everything that he's ever been involved in. That doesn't matter to the base. So it's looking like Biden 2024 is just going to be hiding in the basement like he did in 2020.
But around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms, cutting Social Security that you paid for your entire life while cutting taxes for the very wealthy, dictating what healthcare decisions women can make, banning books, and telling people who they can love, all while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote.
It's looking like it's primarily gearing up to be a Joe Biden versus Donald Trump round two. And even though a majority of the country would rather see other people run, we live in a country that we live in, and the rules are the rules. Joe Biden has every right to run for a second term, so he's doing it. Donald Trump has every right to run for president again, so he's doing it. He's been called out his campaign. Meanwhile, Ron DeSantis hasn't done the same thing. But overall, this is just going to be an election that comes down to the independents and the swing voters like always. It's very unlikely that independents and swing voters are going to vote for Donald Trump in this election, but Republicans don't seem to be able to put anybody else out there ahead of him. So Biden's probably going to be able to just kind of hop and skip blindfolded with his hands tied behind his back into a re-election simply because incumbents typically win re-election, except for a handful, including Donald Trump in 2020. But again, incumbents typically do win re-election because they have all the resources and the momentum on their side. So, it's just another boring re-election campaign.
Every generation of Americans has faced a moment when they have to defend democracy. Stand up for our personal freedom. Stand up for the right to vote and our civil rights. And this is our moment.
Now, again, it's important to remember that Joe Biden ran on not being transformative. He wasn't going to rock the boat. He's never been that kind of candidate. And he has accomplished a couple things that are notable, freeing over 1,400 nonviolent marijuana prison convictions, passing the CHIPS Act. But he's also fallen short. And his biggest accomplishment is being held up in court, the $10,000 to $20,000 student loan debt relief. That's going to be held up in court for as long as possible. So he can't really laud that as something that he got done. He dropped the ball with union workers on the railway because they wanted more paid sick days. He dropped the ball with helping to lower pharmaceutical drug prices. And overall, he's really not chasing progressive or transformative policies because at the end of the day, that's just not who he is. So realistically, 2028 is going to be when we start to see new candidates with more energy, more youth, different types of movements behind them. And that's just what it is.